EPF, which was deemed by the opposition parties and the wider public as an anti-people measure. In doing so, a government that took pride in calling itself a mazboot or strong sarkar has opened itself to the charge of being a majboor or a compromising one. A few elections, it seems, or reversals in those elections, it seems, has made the government risk-averse. There is also, of course, impending elections to 5 states or 4 states and 1 union territory. Perhaps that's what's making this government lose its resolve to push with hard reforms, because what else then explains the rolling back of a measure in 8 days that this government sold to the public as an 11-point reform measure aimed at securing the retirement of the salaried class? Is the government now, via this rollback, telling us that it has suddenly sacrificed the well-being of the very employees it was looking to protect by taxing their EPF? Is it telling us that the Prime Minister has abetted in a move that is not in the long-term interest of the salaried class by going ahead with this rollback? Indeed, good economics does not always make for good politics, but this government was supposed to be different. It sought our vote to guarantee that it would not junk good economics for votes or bad politics that this government claimed that the UPA did routinely at the cost of jeopardizing India's economy. The government has a case to answer for. We will put questions to all stakeholders right after this news report.
The government would like to do a comprehensive review of this proposal, and therefore I withdraw the proposal in paragraph 138 and 139 of my budget speech.
A big victory for the salaried class. After a stiff opposition, government forced to relent. Your EPF will not be taxed. The big budget reform is scrapped. The announcement, the defense, the rollback, all in 8 days flat.
The government will pay the Employees Pension Fund contribution of 8.33% for all new employees enrolling in EPFO for the first 3 years of their employment.
टैक्स इसलिए भरना पड़ेगा क्योंकि हमारी कोशिश है कि हम आपको अगर इतना बड़ा एक टैक्स ब्रेक दे रहे हैं, आप बिना टैक्स दिए हुए वो पैसे प्रोविडेंट फंड या एनपीएस में डाल रहे हैं और तब बिना टैक्स दिए हुए वो बढ़ते चले जा रहे हैं वो पैसे, तो इसलिए दे रहे हैं जिसमें कि आपको रिटायरमेंट में इनकम मिले.
In view of the representations received, the government would like to do a comprehensive review of this proposal, and therefore I withdraw the proposal in paragraph 138 and 139 of my budget speech. The proposal of 40% exemption given to NPS subscribers at the time of withdrawal remains.
Within minutes of the rollback, a war for credit began. Rahul Gandhi wants India to believe the U-turn happened because of his efforts.
Whenever somebody is being oppressed wrongly or acted against wrongly or victimized, I tend to try and help those people. And so I decided to put some pressure on the government, and I'm very happy that they've got some relief.
And it did not end there.
Congress party, Rahul Gandhi, whatever he has said, he may be for his own political benefit, he is telling. But when they were in the government, they were never committed to the workers.
It was the demand of the 6 crore employee, political parties, media and the persons from the civil society. I am happy that it has been withdrawn.
ये तो अभी जनता की आवाज सुनी है, जनता की आवाज सुनी है तो अच्छी बात है.
Keeping the political slugfest aside, it has come as a huge relief to the common man. An attempt to tax your savings has been thwarted, at least for now. But the other view is that the government's moves may have been politically unviable, but it made economic sense. So the big question is, has politics won and reforms lost? Bureau Report, News X.
Okay, let's put this out. This big question we're asking tonight, amidst others, Dr. Sambit Patra, the national spokesperson of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and Dr. Abhishek Manu, Singhvi MP and national spokesperson of the Congress, both join us. Let me first begin with Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Dr. Singhvi, your leader, Rahul Gandhi, today has taken credit for this rollback, saying that, look, I stood up for the people of this country and I'm glad that this government has heard my plea. But there are many who are saying that by advocating a populist line, the opposition might have done a disservice really to the public in the long term. Because this as the government explained, was a move to create a pension-based society, to secure the interests of people who had retired.
Rahul, can I reply?
Yes, sir.
Rahul, can I reply? Okay, now I hope you'll give me my minute and a half or 2 minutes, because there are several interesting facets here. The first of it is that this shows the role of a responsible opposition. The opposition within minutes or hours of the budget speech raised the issue. If you rewind to your channels, you will see that probably on the first day and the second day of the budget, this was the most talked about issue which the Congress raised first, and then it was joined by every other opposition party. Second, each one of the spokespersons of the BJP ruling party I saw for the next 3 days vigorously defended it. Certainly not in heart, I think, in most cases, but on the channels, vigorously. Thirdly, this is probably the first time that in less than a week of a budget proposal, there is a specific rollback on the floor of the House of specific paras of the budget. Now, I welcome it. I say, der aaye durust aaye, but it also
obviously as some casual advice by some bureaucrats without fully vetting at the political level. Now, you have to decide very clearly. The Congress stands by it. The country stands by the fact that it should not be there. You have to decide. It is such a good measure, which is supposed to be very anti-populist and good for the nation. Why did you roll it back? Obviously, because there are large areas where so-called populist measures are also public interest measures. It is ridiculous, still mysterious to me as to why, for what revenue elasticity, for what great pension world in the future did you design this very, very silly and mysterious taxing or withdrawal from the EPF. Remember, you're not giving any options to the people who will make it. Remember that these are kind of a pot at the end of your life which people intend to use, and they have the right to use it how they wish. It is like catching the nose from behind your head, Rahul, to say,
okay,
and we wanted to achieve in this measure the fact that you will go more for not withdrawal and less for withdrawal.
Okay.
But people are not made that way. People make their choices. And
Okay.
it's not your job to tell them in this very strange manner how to make that choice.
Okay, let me get the response from Dr. Sambit Patra. There are 3 things that have been said by Dr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi. Number 1, that the opposition has acted responsibly by pointing out that there was something that went against the public interest. 1. 2, that each one of your spokespersons, including the junior finance minister, defended this. In fact, an 11-point clarification was put out, sir. Also, perhaps for the first time, according to the Congress spokesperson, paragraphs within the budget have been completely eviscerated from the budget. Now, I want to ask you, Dr. Patra, was the announcement originally in public interest, or is the rollback in public interest? Because your defense, you said, was in public interest. You wanted to create a pension-based society. You wanted to ensure that various people who had retired would get a buffer. Now you say, let's roll this back. So, which one is it in public interest?
Rahul, let me take on the questions of Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi and answer them one by one. Firstly, when he says that it is for the first time that a rollback has happened, where paragraphs in fact have been rolled back in the budget, I would say this is a welcome sign, because it's the first time, no doubt, that a participatory democracy is visible in India, where people's feedback, the opposition party's feedback, in fact is comprehensively reviewed in a way which is participatory in nature. That's why it's a positive sign. Secondly, when he says that each one of the spokespersons vigorously defended, and you rightly pointed out that an 11-point clarification was put, let me begin by saying that the 11th point in the clarification, which was first tweeted by Mr. Jayant Sinha, was a very fact which was put out by the finance minister today, that all this is open to suggestions. After drawing suggestions from the various fields of participation, the government will go for a comprehensive review and a decision will be taken. And that's what the government took. I mean, the government, what it had promised, it did that, in the sense that it took out all the suggestions from everywhere. It is going for a comprehensive review. So we have not changed our stand. Whatever was given in the clarification note, we stand by that. And thirdly, when the vigorous defense by the spokespersons are in fact talked about, let me tell Mr. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, I think Abhishek Manu Singhvi ji and I did not participate in any debate, but each one of our spokespersons began by saying that, well, this is under review, and after the review, the stand of the government may change. So let's please wait. And I remember categorically, I had also stated on various channels saying that the government's functioning is participatory. Time and again, the government has shown this nature. And definitely, it's a welcome sign. And Mr. Abhishek
It is welcome, of course. It's a sign that the government takes on board the opposition. Always welcome. But I want to get to the heart of this, sir. You haven't answered my most substantive question. Which is in public interest? The original announcement, given the fact that 10 of your clarifications are here with me, defend this vigorously. The purpose of this reform of making the change in tax regime, and you called it a reform, is to encourage more number of private sector employees to go for pension security after retirement instead of withdrawing the entire money from the Provident Fund account towards this objective. And it goes on, sir, as you know, 10 points. So, if you thought it was in the public interest, if you think that this is going to be a reformist move, why back down, sir, in the face of a little bit of public pressure, and that also from a section of the salaried class? Does this suggest that this government has lost the nerve, or that this was a bad idea to begin with?
No. Rahul, this is a very important question. This is a very important question, let me answer. I mean, as far as the issue that the government, in fact, bent on a section of salaried classes' insistence, I would say even if this is a small section, this is a respectable section, a very important section, and we would like to get this message across them that you are extremely important. If you have an issue, we will surely resolve it. It's not that we will not see you and we'll feel that you are unimportant. And every government, in fact, should visualize each section in this comprehensive manner. And secondly, when you say, rightly say, that if it was opined to be a reform, as the government had put it, why then take it back? Let me tell you what Mr. Jaitley rightly put today. By using the word comprehensive review, it only means that, well, we are taking a view about this whole issue, and if we feel that a reform in a different way, a reform towards pension society creation, because that's what was the policy objective of this whole issue, that we want to create a pension society. Are there other ways to create? Are there other ways to make so? If there are other ways, we will take a comprehensive view and we will come back to you. It's not that we are going to give up this objective of Bharatiya Janata Party's government, where we want a socially secure society, because this government is working towards that end. But what are the ways? If people are not happy with this way, maybe we'll take the second way.
Okay. Dr. Singhvi, do you see it in those black and white terms, or do you believe that the Prime Minister was not taken into confidence before the decision to tax EPF was announced in the budget?
Rahul?
Yes.
First of all, I don't expect either the magnanimity or the humility to say three simple words from the government for any quarter. Sorry, we made a mistake. Secondly, because you don't have the humility or magnanimity to say that, you will find sophisticated euphemisms like comprehensive review, participatory government. The blunt three-word answer is, sorry, it's an error. Thirdly, where the goof up occurred, I certainly, and most people will not be privy, I suspect it is, as many other parts of the budget are, largely a bureaucratic crafted budget with lacking that larger vision, political vision. And that is where this very mysterious thing expressed, and I repeat, to make a pension society a successful paradigm of Indian society, and to do it through EPF withdrawal taxing, is much worse than catching your note from behind your head. It is like trying to catch your own note from behind somebody else's head, or maybe three people behind the head of three other people. Because there is absolutely a ridiculous kind of causal nexus between that kind of thing. So I think the charitable explanation would be that it just passed unnoticed because somebody preponderant in the budget was looked at casually on these paragraphs at least. Possibly the real explanation could be that it's a general greeting which went ahead first with the Prime Minister and the Finance Minister both, but then they realized the extent and the depth of opposition. And remember, the opposition was passed off on the first 2 days by the Junior Minister of Finance and by the spokesperson as nearly,
but Dr. Singhvi,
affecting 77 lakh or some such figure of people, and not even 1 crore.
no, fair enough. But Dr. Singhvi, why should, why are we making a virtue out of a rollback? Why is the Congress doing so? I mean, look at the list of your own rollbacks when you were in power. FDI and multi-brand retail rollback. Railway fares in the fiscal budget for fiscal 2012-2013, and that was presented by Dinesh Trivedi, rollback. Jewelry excise duty rollback. Cotton exports on March 10th, barely a week after imposing a ban on cotton exports, citing domestic shortfall, the government rolled it back. That was on May 5. Property transaction tax. In the 2013 budget, Mr. Mukherjee introduced a 1% tax deduction at source on the transfer of property, rollback. GAR, as you know, sir, what happened with GAR? Petrol prices in 2011 also rolled back. So, why are we making such a big virtue out of what is a considered decision to align yourself in public interest?
Now, after a very, very long question come answer, can I speak?
Yes, sir.
First of all, 90% of the examples you gave were non-legislative in character. It makes a difference. A few were legislative. Secondly, where there is a mistake, it must be rectified. Human fallibility is the feature of human endeavor, and fallibility must be accepted. Now, the point here is that you are not accepting either the courage of the opposition or the fact that they pointed out and that you resisted it for long enough. Now, if you accept it, I don't think anybody blames you. But there is this resoluteness about not accepting it. Rollback is a generic term. When you roll back an error, it's a good thing. When you roll back under a good thing, under pressure, it should not be rolled back, it's a bad thing. I stand by my point, the Congress party stands by our point. That the UPS was a wrong measure in the first place. So rollback is a good thing. You can't have a general term rollback because there are good rollbacks and bad rollbacks. Certainly a populist one would be criticized by us. But today there is great upsurge amongst the middle classes near unanimity. And I find no real explanation by any of the government agencies to why it came in the first place.
Okay.
And remember, it was strange that there was not one, but almost 2 or 3 classifications flowing in a desperate attempt by the finance ministry bureaucrats to justify themselves one after the other.
Okay.
There.
Let me ask Dr. Patra that question. A rollback under pressure is not a good thing. Does the rollback show, and this one has come under pressure, Dr. Patra, let's not try to run away from that, show that post-Bihar debacle and in the run-up to another round of elections, crucial elections, that this government has lost its appetite for tough reforms? You would always criticize the UPA for taking this country down the policy paralysis route because they had lost the appetite for taking those tough decisions. Aren't you becoming those that you have criticized?
Rahul, we can never become the ones whom we have criticized, because 14 to 15 lakh crores being swallowed through corruption can never be the way of functioning of Bharatiya Janata Party. So we are two incomparables, poles apart, which can never be compared. Number 2, it's rollback versus breakback. Rollback versus breakback. Why do I say that? Rollback is participatory democracy, and do you remember breakback during the UPA period when people in fact came out to criticize the UPA government? Let me give you the example of Baba Ramdev and his disciples. When they were sitting in a dharna against the UPA government, their backs were broken during midnight. So it's always better to have a rollback than to break back the people of people participating in democracy. So I have no qualms in saying that, well, comprehensive review in democracy is very democratic. There is nothing wrong in it. And as far as reforms are concerned, Rahul, I mean, our intention is absolutely single point: social security and a pension society. Let us see in this very budget. In this very budget,
no, but that was not going to be. Now, many people have said, Dr. Patra, that
1 lakh rupees as medical cover.
No, look at the problems with this policy that you announced. Many people have said it should not have even been announced in the first place, because the 100% you have said could be made tax-free by investing 60% of the corpus, as you know, in annuities. But annuities by themselves only give you between 5 to 7% returns, which is even less than a savings bank account. Then you sought to create a distinction between those that held government jobs and those that were employed in private sector. Thirdly, the people who should have actually got the security, who need it the most, those that earn less than 15,000 rupees were left out. So many people have said that this was a harebrained move to begin with. It wasn't going to achieve the ends. So your rollback or your decision to come out with this was to allay fears that
you have to understand two or three
sarkar.
quick points. No, not at all. Look into this whole budget this time. This budget this time is a budget which even the opposition does not find a flaw in. It's a budget for the poor, it's budget for the rural sector, it's a budget to increase the spending in rural sector, it's a budget for the farmer and the agriculturists. As far as this particular clause of No, I'm coming to the point. As far as the EPF is concerned, what was the intention of the government? The intention of the government was a fair one. The intention was to create a pension society. You cannot find flaw in this intention, as you have pointed out that this is one of the reforms that the government wanted. What went wrong? The people could not understand that. The people thought that this was wrong. We had asked for suggestions from the various sector of this democratic setup, which people gave. People gave suggestions.
I think the reason why people found it problematic was because it was discriminatory.
If there is a
No, it was discriminatory, so it was underpinned by political messaging. That's why it got